High school football season is almost over, and we're looking at some of the top players and teams from the 2012 season. We'll introduce you to a dominant defender from one of Florida's top teams and a well-traveled quarterback who's bound for the Pac-12. We'll also go to Washington to take a close look at one of the nation's most dominant programs. All of that and more next on Future Phenoms. Welcome to the show, everybody. I'm Charles Davis. As the high school football season winds down, we're looking back today at some of the teams and players that have made headlines this season. Let's begin in the Rocky Mountain region with some familiar faces. Valor Christian in Denver has quickly emerged as a powerhouse in the state of Colorado. The school opened just 6 years ago, but the Eagles won their 4th consecutive state championship last week. They've had some big names to help them reach the top. Quarterback Luke Del Rio and running back Christian McCaffrey have both been featured on this show, and they both have NFL bloodlines. McCaffrey, son of former Denver Bronco Ed McCaffrey, was named the Gatorade State Player of the Year as he carried the load for the Eagles. We introduced you to him last year, along with his brother Max, who led Valor to 3 state titles before graduating and heading to Duke. Del Rio, meanwhile, joined Valor when his dad, Jack Del Rio, moved to Denver to be the Broncos' defensive coordinator. We introduced you to Luke earlier this season.
The coach's son tag that especially quarterbacks get because they want a cerebral guy. I understand it. It definitely helps, but I don't want to be just known as this guy's son.
Del Rio is off to Oklahoma State next year, but McCaffrey will have 1 more year in high school to try to make it 5 in a row for the Eagles. Let's head southeast. As the Florida State playoffs continue, we'll check in with one of the state's best players at one of the state's best programs. St. Thomas Aquinas High School in Fort Lauderdale, Florida has established itself as one of the nation's premier high school football programs over the last 20 years. While the program has produced some great players like Brian Piccolo and Michael Irvin in its early years, the Raiders have been truly dominant since 1992. They have captured 6 state titles and 2 national championships since then. They have also had more players drafted into the NFL in the last 5 seasons than any other high school in the country. The star of this year's Aquinas team is well on his way to joining that fraternity. Joey Bosa is a 6'5", 270-pound menace on defense, and he's versatile enough to play any position on the defensive line.
I have a combination of speed and quickness, but I also have the size and the strength, so that's really most of the times you only see a smaller, really quick guy, or you see a big, strong guy who's not that quick, but I think I have a good combination of both.
His length, his strength, explosive. We run a 3-4 scheme. He can play pretty much across the board. Tackle nose or end, which is sometimes you're in a 1, sometimes you're in a 3, sometimes you're in a 5, sometimes you're in a 7, and he can play them all.
Bosa has the kind of athleticism that really makes his coaches and parents flip out.
Yeah, it's like a circus act.
Yeah, I don't want to see him anymore. He's banned from those.
They see it once and they're like, all right, no more.
Joey certainly has genetics on his side, as his dad, John, and his uncle, Eric Kumaro, were both first-round NFL draft picks. Ironically, both were selected 16th overall by the Miami Dolphins, Bosa in 1987 and Kumaro in 1988. John Bosa never pushed his son to play football, but as the years went by, it became clear what his destiny was.
If it was anything, I was trying to maybe push him a little bit away from it, only because, you know, the injuries and things like that had sort of kind of bothered me at the youth level. So I wanted to play other sports. But he's a passionate football player. He loves football. He's never complained about a 6 a.m. workout or a practice in 100-degree heat.
Joey's commitment to his craft is easy to see, as he put himself on a strict diet and he pushes himself and his teammates to uphold the winning tradition at Aquinas.
Joey's one of those guys you sometimes have to tell him to get out of the weight room, because after our 2-hour weight room, he'll still be up there working out. And he's a leader in the weight room and he's a leader on the football field, and kids follow that.
I just don't choose to be a vocal, loud leader. I don't think people follow that as well as just working hard and showing what you could do, and leading by example I think is a lot better way than just yelling at some kids and screaming.
Joey's committed to Ohio State, and although this is his last year at Aquinas, the Bosa name will continue, because one of the young players that Joey has set an example for is his brother Nick, a freshman for the Raiders.
I was born to play football, so is he. We played other sports, but football is our sport.
Basically, football is my life. I really can't think of anything outside of what I would do if I wasn't a football player.
And with his talent and work ethic, Joey Bosa looks poised to remain a football player for a long time. Now let's head southwest to the state of Texas. The Lone Star State has produced quite a few pro quarterbacks over the years. This season, 9 NFL teams have started a former Texas high school quarterback. That includes the Minnesota Vikings, whose starting quarterback Christian Ponder played his high school ball at Colleyville Heritage High School. But these days at Colleyville Heritage, there's another quarterback who's made quite a name for himself. Cody Thomas is the type of strong-arm gunslinger that college recruiters crave. At 6'5" and 220 pounds, he has ideal size for a pro-style quarterback. He's thrown for over 7,000 yards combined in his last 2 varsity seasons. And as a senior, he was one of the best in Texas, as he had 38 touchdowns compared to just 5 interceptions in the regular season. He only added to those totals in the playoffs before Colleyville Heritage was knocked out. But Thomas has a bright future ahead of him as he'll play his college ball for the Oklahoma Sooners. The wide-open offense in Norman should fit Thomas perfectly, and he just may be able to add his name to the long list of former Texas high school quarterbacks in the NFL one day. We'll take a break, but when we get back, we'll introduce you to one of the best quarterbacks in the country. That's next.
Future Phenoms is brought to you by Toyota. Visit your local Toyota dealer for great deals today, or log on to www.buyatoyota.com.
Let's go to the Midwest for this week's Toyota Top 5. The Bishop Luers Knights captured their 4th straight Indiana 2A state championship this season, and the leader behind their magical run has been Jalen Smith. The star senior rushed for over 1,200 yards in his final year, including 150 yards and 3 scores in the state championship game. Smith plays both ways for the Knights, as he's also a standout linebacker. And that's where you'll find him at the next level, as he's committed to play linebacker at Notre Dame.
Oh, it's a relief, just to have it all said and done. This 4-peat is complete, and I'm really proud of my team.
Smith is number 1 on our Toyota Top 5, which focuses on the nation's top linebackers. Here's the rest of the list. Welcome back, everyone. Some recruits will move across the country to find the perfect college for their futures, and for one quarterback in the Northeast, traveling a long way to find the right opportunity will be nothing new to him. Jackson Hole is a postcard town located in southern Wyoming near the Idaho border. You would be hard-pressed to find a more picturesque landscape. It is surrounded by the Teton Mountain Range and is within 2 hours of Yellowstone National Park. It is an outdoorsman's paradise, with skiing, hiking, and fishing aplenty. However, the one thing Jackson Hole is not is a football hotbed. They say college recruiters can find talent anywhere, but Ryan Burns' father, Brian, wasn't going to take that chance.
In Jackson Hole, there's just not a lot of programs that you can really, between the coaching and the sport itself, the talent level is, not the best. It was difficult at those days to try to figure out, where he stood, with the rest of the pack.
The decision was made to move the family to Ashburn, Virginia. The next step was to find a school that would be the right fit for Ryan, a budding freshman. That's when Brian came across a relatively new school, Stonebridge High, which at the time was in its 9th year of existence.
I finally walked into Mickey Thompson's office at Stonebridge, and I just looked at him and I said, "Mickey, you don't know me, I don't know you, but this community has a lot of respect for not only this school, but your program. I've got a rising freshman coming in next year. I just need you to tell me a little bit about your program."
I've had a lot of people come in and visit with me and tell me how great their kid is and what a great football player he is, and he ends up coming here and, in actuality, not that great a football player, but great kid, and, it's always worked out, but, so this was another situation where he looked the part, but, is he going to be this great football player? You just don't know. All you can do is just say, hey, we got a good program here, we'll take care of them and do the best we can with them, and, and you get lucky every now and then.
Coach Thompson got lucky on this one. Burns had all the physical tools. He is 6'5", 225 pounds, and the prototypical pro-style quarterback. However, it didn't start off all roses for Ryan. His freshman year, he got mostly mop-up duties, and then he fractured his shoulder and his non-throwing arm during his sophomore season. Though devastating, Ryan found the positives in his injury.
It's definitely terrible, getting hurt for a whole year. No one wants to do that, but maybe you learn a lot that anything could end at any time. So you kind of got to be prepared for anything. So, definitely a good lesson to learn, but never want to experience that kind of stuff.
He was out there at every practice. He was there on the field, as they come out of the tunnel, giving everybody high fives. And as much as internally he may have been suffering, that team support is his priority.
Ryan was still getting noticed due to his summer camp showings. Before his sophomore year, despite not even taking a varsity snap, Boston College gave him his first offer. After that, colleges were all over the big kid with the cannon arm. Even so, last year, his first as a varsity starter didn't produce stellar statistics. He threw for 1,800 yards and 13 touchdowns. The main reason is that Stonebridge runs a single-wing offense that stresses a solid running game. It's an offense that has helped the Bulldogs to 11 straight 10-win seasons. However, Coach Thompson scrapped the single wing this season and went to a spread offense to showcase Ryan's skills. That was an idea that excited everyone.
I just think it's an exciting time for all of us because here we never had 4 or 5 receivers out there. So there's a lot of kids that now go, wow, this is my chance to play. I trust Ryan. I trust his thought process. I'm going to give him a lot of freedom. I've never done that before. That's a little bit scary for me because I like to have my thumb on everything. But I'm gonna give him a lot of say and a lot of ability to change plays and everything else.
Definitely prepared for this year, and we're going to expect big things for myself and from our team this year.
I think everyone has faith in Ryan, and yeah, he didn't have a best season last year, but everyone's running behind him, and I think we can do a lot better.
Burns made several visits to colleges in hopes that he would fall in love with one of them. He did. Stanford University had everything the smart, strong-arm kid was looking for, including its academics. Ryan boasts a 3.95 grade point average and has been looking for a school that would challenge his brain as well as his brawn.
When I first started looking for schools, I really narrowed down to the schools that were really good in academics as well as athletics. So I remember doing an interview back in after my freshman year, and I just told the guy, my dream school was probably Stanford. I didn't even think that was probably possible back then, but by far a dream come true.
And with his commitment to Stanford comes the inevitable comparisons to a former Cardinal we first introduced you to 5 years ago. Ryan has virtually the same size and strengths as Andrew Luck, the NFL's #1 overall selection this past year. And although he loves the comparisons, Burns hopes to make his own name in Palo Alto.
I take that as a great honor because he's a great player, obviously, but we're not the same person at all. We're completely different guys, but when I come there, it's not going to be a comparison to Andrew Luck. I don't want that. Just go out and do what I do rather than try to be like Andrew.
I think he has all the features to be a really great quarterback. Just up to him determining on how much he works, and it's just up to him. I think he's going to be a great quarterback in college.
As he works to get even bigger and stronger, Ryan still remains the quiet, sweet kid from the Northwest. The kind of kid who stuck by his mother's side as she battled and beat breast cancer last year.
Ryan writes me little notes and says, "You're the strongest person I know." And so sometimes when you think things go unnoticed, it really doesn't.
And soon everyone will notice the humble kid from Wyoming as he looks to take the Pac-12 by storm. It's time for another break, but when we return, we'll check out a dominant program from the state of Washington. Stay with us.
Future Phenoms is brought to you by American Family Insurance. Your dream is out there. Go get it. We'll protect it.
High school stars dream of playing in one of the nation's top all-star games. Every week, we feature one student athlete who's working to get to the game. Here's this week's featured player.
Get to the game. Powered by American Family Insurance. John Lopez, a standout offensive lineman from Orange Lutheran, plays the game with a single purpose.
My favorite thing about football is just the pure competitiveness. On the field, there's a certain mind change I have. It's no longer, oh, he's my friend. It's, oh, he's on the opposite side of the football. He's going down.
He's about 6'5", 6'6", 310 pounds, and boy, he plays with a fierce relentlessness.
You wouldn't look at him and think he's a great athlete, but he can move around guys and do certain things that you wouldn't expect out of him.
I'm at every game, and when I do watch him, he's dynamic. He does, exactly what playmakers are supposed to do.
John's potential is really untapped. The growth that he's made has been unbelievable.
His size and physical strength are readily apparent, but John's real strength comes from elsewhere.
Overall, we're a very close family. We're always doing things together.
My biggest influence has been my family as a whole. They really helped guide me and mold me as a young man.
I remember the first time he did a play, a defensive guy sort of slapped him in the face, and John looked over at me and gave me this look like he hit me. And then I said, well, hit him back. And then after that, John just absolutely creamed people, and I said, oh my God, this guy's going to be something.
John has achieved his dream of a college scholarship, but knows he still has work left to do.
The best way to protect my dream is to follow the path that's been set for me.
John has this internal drive for excellence that I think truly great competitors have.
It's really what you did in the weight room when nobody was watching, what you did on the field when everybody else was jogging. Were you sprinting through that drill? The little things you do are the things that have the biggest impact in the long run.
The guy that works the hardest will always succeed.
To see more great videos and enter for a chance to win an incredible football experience in New Orleans, go to amfam.com/gettothegame.
Let's go west now, into the state of Washington, where our Joe McCann tells us about a program that has become one of the nation's best.
Seattle, Washington is known for a lot of things. Its fish market, great coffee, and the historic Space Needle in downtown. But when you think of Seattle and the state of Washington, high school football may not be the first thing to come to mind. But one local school is trying to change that.
Located just outside of Seattle, Bellevue High School has put together a string of championships like few in the country. They won their first title in 1983, but things didn't take off until 17 years later when Butch Goncharoff took over the program in 2000. Current assistant Matt Rizzuri played on the team that got the school its second state title in 2001.
That was kind of the breakthrough of our program, and that core group of seniors really took it upon themselves to change the program and try and start a dynasty, which at that time was unheard of in our state.
What has followed has been exactly that, a dynasty. 10 more state championships in 13 years. And as it often does, success has breeded more success. As one class would leave with a title, the pressure was always on the next class to do the same.
This program pretty much has a lot of history, tradition, and it's a building block. So pretty much what the last class did, we try to up that.
As they began to dominate Washington, Bellevue's reputation expanded outside the state. The Wolverines truly burst onto the national scene in 2004 when they upset top-ranked De La Salle out of California, a program that had not lost in 12 years. But a 39-20 win at what was then called Quest Field snapped De La Salle's historic 151-game winning streak. It's a game people still talk about in Bellevue.
I was the ball boy for that game, and all I remember was going into it, I knew that we were going to win for some reason. I was like, oh yeah, we're going to win. I went to a bunch of the practices and I saw the O-line, and that has always been the key to Bellevue, is the O-line. And the way they got off the ball and how much they wanted it, I was like, there's no way we're losing the game.
Since then, Bellevue has always welcomed challenges to further prove themselves on the national scale. Like this year's season opener against Texas Power Euless Trinity. The Trojans were the first Texas team to travel to the state of Washington, and Bellevue once again made a statement, downing Trinity 31-24 in overtime.
Everyone they don't really respect us because we're from Washington, little 3A, 4A teams, and it's a big statement for us, especially they're from Texas, and they're a big 5A school, and we're 3A. And we see all these blogs and stuff of us shouldn't even show up to the game and all this other stuff, but we just use it as motivation.
That win catapulted Bellevue to another state championship season, as the Wolverines went 14-0 and defeated Eastside Catholic in the Washington 3A state championship game. And they even managed to raise the bar for the program once more, as this year marks the first time in program history Bellevue has put together back-to-back unbeaten seasons. In Bellevue, Washington, I'm Joe McCann.
Thanks, Joe. After capturing the Washington State title, Bellevue is in great shape in our latest top 10. Here's the rest of the rankings. We'll take our last break, but don't go anywhere. We'll tell you how you can become a part of the show when we get back.
Future Phenoms is brought to you by Toyota. Visit your local Toyota dealer for great deals today, or log on to www.buyatoyota.com. It's
time to check out a mixtape sent in to us by a viewer. This week we heard from Cole McLean. McLean plays running back for Greenbrier East High School in West Virginia. He's also spent some time at quarterback, as you see. But his great speed has been put to better use as a tailback. After missing the playoffs this year, the 2014 prospect is hoping to lead the Spartans to the playoffs next year as a senior. If you'd like to be a part of the show, send us a DVD. The address is 3575 Lone Star Circle, Suite 116, Fort Worth, Texas, 76177. Well, that'll do it for today's show. Thanks for watching. For our entire crew, I'm Charles Davis, and we'll see you next time.
Future Phenoms is brought to you in part by...
We all have dreams, but dreams, well, they don't come easy. That's why I put in these hours. Pick up those late night shifts. I know my hard work will pay off. Because I dream of sending my kids to college.